The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive ring of metal and glass that orbited nothing. Inside, 7 species sat in judgment. Ambassador Park Ji-won stood alone in the center, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, dark blue with silver stars on the collar. She had worn it with pride for 3 years. Today it felt heavy. The Velthari's Primarch spoke first. His voice echoed through the chamber, translated into dozens of languages by machines older than human civilization. He was ancient, his skin like gray stone, his eyes like black holes that swallowed light. Ambassador Park Ji-won of Earth, the Council has reviewed your species' actions on the Tyvek homeworld. We have made our decision. Ji-won kept her face calm. She had practiced this moment. Whatever they said, she would not show fear. Behind her, hidden in the observation deck, Captain Lee Dae-ho watched through reinforced glass. His ship, the Horizon's Promise, waited in dock. He had flown Ji-won here 30 hours ago. He prayed he would fly her home. Your species violated the Prime Law, the Primarch continued. You interfered with a natural event on a developing world. You made contact without permission. You altered the course of Tyvek civilization. We saved 40,000 lives, Ji-won said. Her voice was steady. The volcano would have killed them all. Children, families. We had the technology to help. We helped. You broke our most sacred law. This voice came from the Chromath representative, a creature that looked like flowing water contained in a crystalline suit. For 10,000 years, the Council has maintained order through this law. No interference. No contact with species below threshold development. You are new here, human. You do not understand what you have done. Ji-won felt anger rising in her chest. She pushed it down. We understand perfectly. You would have watched them die to preserve a rule. We're not built that way. That is precisely the problem, the Primarch said. Humanity is too young, too emotional, too dangerous. You act without thinking. You feel without wisdom. In the 30 years since we welcomed you to the galactic community, you have caused 17 diplomatic incidents. You have violated trade protocols. You have offended 4 species with your cultural insensitivity, and now this. The Tyvek asked for our help, Ji-won said. They sent distress signals into space. We answered. They were not ready for contact. You have contaminated their development. In 500 years, they might have discovered space travel naturally. Now they will worship you as gods. You have stolen their future. Ji-won opened her mouth to argue, but the Primarch raised one massive hand. Silence fell across the chamber like a physical weight. The Council has voted. 6 species have agreed. 1 abstains. Ambassador Park Ji-won, humanity is found guilty of aggressive expansion and cultural contamination. The sentence is complete embargo. Effective immediately, Earth is forbidden from all galactic trade. All technology sharing agreements are void. All diplomatic relations are severed. Your species has 30 days to remove all human presence from Council space. After that, any human found outside the Sol system will be considered an outlaw. The words hit Ji-won like bullets. She felt her knees weaken but forced herself to stand straight. You're cutting us off? Completely. Your jump gate access will be revoked on day 30. You will return to your star system. You will stay there. Perhaps in a few centuries, when humanity has matured, we will reconsider. Until then, you are quarantined. We'll die, Ji-won said. We have colonies. We have 300,000 people living in 12 different systems. Our economy depends on galactic trade. You're not punishing us. You're executing us. That is your concern, not ours. The Primarch's face showed no emotion. You have 30 days. I suggest you use them wisely. The gavel fell. The sound echoed through the chamber. The session ended. Guards appeared at Ji-won's sides, not touching her, but making it clear she needed to leave. She walked out with her head high, but inside her mind screamed. Captain Dae-ho met her in the corridor. He was young for a ship captain, only 35, with sharp eyes and quick hands. He had flown through 3 wars before the peace. He knew how to read disaster. How bad? He asked. Worse than bad, Ji-won said. Complete embargo. 30 days to evacuate everyone. Then they shut down our gate access. Dae-ho's face went pale. 300,000 people in 30 days? That's impossible. We don't have enough ships, we'll have to make it possible. Ji-won's voice was cold now, all emotion locked away. She had to think. Had to plan. Get me a channel to Earth, priority 1. President Kim needs to know. They walked quickly through the station, their footsteps ringing on metal floors. Other species moved aside as they passed. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked away. Humanity had been judged, and in the galactic community, judgment was final. Back on the Horizon's Promise, Ji-Wan sat in the communications room while Daiho prepared the ship for departure. The message to Earth took 4 minutes to send through the relay network. The response took another 4 minutes to return. When President Kim Tae-hyun's face appeared on screen, he looked 10 years older than he had yesterday. "Tell me everything," he said. Ji-Wan did. When she finished, Kim was silent for a long moment. Behind him, she could see advisors moving frantically, already making calls, pulling up data, beginning the impossible task of bringing everyone home. 30 days, Kim said finally. "They really think we'll just accept this?" "They think we have no choice," Ji-Wan said. "And they're right. Without the jump gates, we can't reach other systems. Without galactic trade, we'll run out of crucial materials in months. They have us trapped." "Then we spring the trap," Kim said. "Ambassador, you've done everything you could. Now come home. Help us figure out what comes next." The transmission ended. Ji-Wan sat in the dark room staring at the blank screen. Dr. Choi Mina found her there 20 minutes later. Mina was the ship's xenobiologist, a specialist in alien cultures and biology. She was also Ji-Wan's oldest friend, I heard, Mina said softly. "I'm sorry. They're afraid of us," Ji-Wan said. "That's what this is really about. We saved the Tyvek and it terrified them, because it showed we don't think like they do. We don't follow their rules. Is that so wrong?" Mina asked. "To them? Yes, they've built this whole civilization on order. On everyone staying in their place. And here come the humans, 30 years old in galactic terms, acting like we own the place. Saving people we're not supposed to save. Making friends with species we're supposed to ignore. We're chaos to them." Mina sat down beside her friend. "What do you think will happen?" Ji-Wan was quiet for a long time. Outside the window, stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere out there, humanity's colonies were going about their normal lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. Not knowing that they had 30 days before the universe they knew came crashing down. "I don't know," Ji-Wan said finally. "But I know humans. We're stubborn. We're creative. And we're really, really bad at accepting no for an answer. The Council thinks this is the end. I think it might be the beginning." "Beginning of what?" Ji-Wan smiled, but there was no humor in it. "That's the question, isn't it?" The Horizon's Promise detached from the station 6 hours later. Captain Daiho set course for the nearest human colony, where the evacuation would begin. Behind them, the Council station grew smaller, a ring of light against the dark. Soon it was just another star. They had 30 days to save everyone, 30 days before humanity was alone in the universe. 30 days before they learned if isolation would break them or make them stronger. The countdown had begun. Colonial Director Yoon Soo-jin stood on the observation platform and watched her world die. Below, the city of New Seoul stretched across the valley, its towers catching the orange light of Kepler 442b's sun. 50,000 people lived here. They had built homes, started businesses, raised children. In 3 days, it would all be abandoned. "Ma'am, the cargo ships are here," her assistant said. "They want to know what to load first." Soo-jin closed her eyes. "What do you save when you have to leave everything behind?" The farms that fed the colony used alien technology. The water purification systems were built with council materials. The power generators were based on designs humanity didn't fully understand. They could take some equipment, but most of it would be useless without the advanced components they couldn't manufacture. "Personal items first," she said. "Family photos, heirlooms, things people can't replace. Then medical supplies, food, basic tools. Leave the heavy equipment." "But Director, that equipment cost billions, and it's worthless now." Soo-jin's voice was hard. "Without council support, it's just expensive junk. Pack what we can use. Destroy the rest. I won't leave anything for them to claim as abandoned property." The assistant left. Soo-jin stayed on the platform memorizing the view. 5 years of work. 5 years of hope. Gone in 30 days because humanity dared to save lives. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on 11 other worlds. On the mining colony of Titan's Rest, workers scrambled to pack 5 years of equipment into cargo holds built for 3 months of supplies. On the research station orbiting the gas giant Hephaestus, scientists deleted their files, knowing the Council would seize everything left behind. On the trade hub of Crossroads Station, merchant families sold their businesses for a fraction of their worth to alien buyers who smelled blood in the water. Dr. Nam Junho had 6 hours. That's what the council security officer told him when she arrived at his lab. 6 hours to pack his personal belongings and leave the quantum research facility, the most advanced physics laboratory in known space. 6 hours to abandon 3 years of groundbreaking work. What about my research? He asked. I'm close to a breakthrough on entanglement communication. Another month and all research belongs to the council, the officer said. Her species had 4 arms and silver skin. She looked almost sympathetic. You knew that when you came here. Your access is revoked. Pack your personal items only. Junho looked around his lab. Quantum processors hummed softly. 3-dimensional equations floated in holographic displays. His entire life's work. Everything he'd dreamed of since childhood trapped in this room he could never enter again. Can I at least save my personal files? Family photos, that sort of thing? The officer considered. Personal files only. Nothing related to research. I'll watch while you download. Junho worked quickly. He pulled up his personal folder, started copying family photos to a portable drive. His hand shook as he worked. While the obvious files copied, he ran another program in the background, one he'd written himself. It grabbed his research data, compressed it, encrypted it, and hid it inside the metadata of vacation photos from Earth. The officer never noticed. Why would she? Just another human downloading pictures of his mother. 6 hours later, Junho walked out of the facility with 1 bag of clothes and 1 data drive containing several thousand disguised research files. He didn't feel clever. He felt like a thief stealing his own work. Captain Deho hadn't slept in 40 hours. His ship had become a refugee transport, running back and forth between colonies and Earth. Each trip he packed 200 people into spaces designed for 50. They slept in cargo bays and hallways anywhere there was room. Children cried. Adults stared at nothing, shock and grief written on their faces. Captain, we have a problem, his first officer said. The Chen family on Crossroads Station. They're refusing to leave. Deho rubbed his face. Why? Mr. Chen is married to a Vexorian woman. Mixed marriages aren't covered by the evacuation order. If he stays, he's not protected by Earth law anymore. If he leaves, his wife can't come with him. Damn it. Deho checked the time. They had 12 days left. 12 days to save everyone. And some people couldn't be saved because the laws didn't account for love-crossing species boundaries. Get them on the comm. I'll talk to them. The Chen family appeared on screen. Mr. Chen looked young, maybe 25. His wife was Vexorian, tall and graceful with skin that changed colors based on her emotions. Right now it was deep blue. Sadness. Their daughter, 3 years old, looked confused. Captain, I'm not leaving my family, Chen said. I don't care what the order says. I understand, Deho said. But if you stay, you're unprotected. The council made it clear. Any human outside Sol system after 30 days is an outlaw. Then I'm an outlaw. Chen's voice was firm. My home is here. My wife is here. My daughter is here. I'm not going back to Earth. Deho looked at the little girl. She had her father's eyes and her mother's color-changing skin. A bridge between 2 species. A symbol of what the galaxy could be if only the council would let it. I can't make you come, Deho said finally. But I need you to understand. If things go bad, Earth can't protect you. You're on your own. I know, Chen said. But some things are worth the risk. The transmission ended. Deho added another name to the list of people staying behind. 37 so far. 37 humans choosing exile over abandoning their lives. He didn't blame them. Sometimes the harder choice was the right one. Admiral Kang Hyunwoo watched the fleet come home. Ship after ship passed through Earth's jump gate, packed with refugees and salvaged equipment. The gate technicians worked around the clock, managing traffic that was 10 times normal capacity. One mistake and 2 ships would materialize in the same space, killing everyone aboard. Status report, he ordered. 240,000 evacuated so far, his aide said. 60,000 still in council space. 12 days remaining. Will we make it? Unknown, sir. Some colonies are in distant systems. Travel time alone is 8 days. If we miss anyone, we won't miss anyone, Hyunwoo said. His voice carried the authority of 30 years in the fleet. Double the runs if we have to. Pack the ships tighter. Use every vessel that can fly. We leave no one behind, but privately he worried. And he began planning. The council had quarantined humanity, but quarantines could break. If they meant to keep Earth contained, they'd need to enforce it. That meant ships. That meant weapons. That meant humanity needed to be ready for the day someone came to make sure humans stayed in their cage. He began designing new ship classes. Vessels that didn't rely on Council technology. Weapons that alien shields weren't built to stop. Tactics that played to human strengths. If the Council wanted a war, they wouldn't get the war they expected. On day 28, Captain Deho made his final run. The Horizon's Promise limped through the jump gate with engines on fire and life support failing. 300 refugees were packed into every available space. His crew had worked miracles keeping the ship flying. All ships accounted for, the traffic controller said. "You're the last one, Captain. Welcome home." Deho looked back at the gate. In 48 hours it would shut down. Humanity's connection to the galaxy would be severed. They would be alone in a way no spacefaring species had been alone in 10,000 years. "Sir, there's a transmission coming through," his communications officer said. "It's from Ambassador Park. Put her on." Jiwan's face appeared on screen. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were bright.
"Deho, we did it."
"Everyone's home. 300,000 souls, all accounted for. Even managed to save most of the critical equipment." "The people who stayed behind?" Deho asked. 37 in total. They made their choice. We'll remember them. Jiwan paused. "President Kim is about to make an address. Earth orbit, all channels. You'll want to watch this." The transmission switched. President Kim appeared, standing in front of Earth, the blue marble floating in the darkness behind him. He looked calm, even peaceful. "My fellow humans," he said, "today marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. The Galactic Council has locked us away. They expect us to wither. They expect us to beg for readmission to their civilization. They expect us to learn our place." Kim's expression hardened. "They don't know us at all. Yes, we are young. Yes, we are impulsive. Yes, we saved 40,000 Tyvek lives when we were supposed to let them die. And we would do it again, because that's who we are. We're the species that reaches out when others turn away. We're the ones who help even when helping costs us everything. The Council thinks isolation is punishment. I think it's opportunity. For 30 years we've followed their rules, used their technology, walked their paths. Now we forge our own. We will survive. We will grow. We will thrive. And one day when we return to the stars, we will return on our terms. Not as supplicants. Not as children begging for approval. But as equals. The door is locked. They threw away the key, so we'll build a new door. This is not our end. This is our beginning." The transmission ended. Across the Sol system, on Earth and Luna and Mars and the Belt colonies, humans watched and listened. Some cried. Some cheered. All of them knew their lives had changed forever. The jump gate shut down 47 hours later. The connection between Sol and the rest of the galaxy went dark. 1 year after the embargo, engineer Han Seoyun stood in front of a burned crater where Test Ship 7 used to be. 2 pilots dead. 2 more names added to the memorial wall. 13 test flights. 2 successes, 3 partial successes, 8 catastrophic failures. 11 dead in total, all volunteers who knew the risks. "We're getting closer," her assistant said quietly. "Closer isn't good enough." Seoyun's voice was rough from smoke and lack of sleep. She'd been awake for 30 hours straight, running calculations, checking systems, trying to understand why the fold space drive kept tearing ships apart. 11 people are dead because I can't figure this out. 11 people died trying to free humanity from the jump gates. They knew what they were volunteering for. Seoyun knew he was right. That didn't make it easier. The Prometheus project was humanity's desperate attempt to develop faster-than-light travel without Council technology. They had Dr. Nam's smuggled research. They had salvaged alien equipment to study. They had brilliant engineers and fearless pilots. What they didn't have was time to do it safely. "Prep test ship 8, she said. "We fly again tomorrow." "Ma'am, shouldn't we wait?" "Run more simulations?" "We've run 10,000 simulations. They don't tell us what we need to know. Only real tests do that." She looked at the crater again, at the melted metal and scorched earth. "Get me Lieutenant Kwan. If she's still willing to fly after this, we go tomorrow." Lieutenant Kwan Mirai was willing. She always was. She had been a test pilot before the embargo, flying experimental craft for Earth's defense forces. She understood risk. More importantly, she understood necessity. "The fold equations are solid," Seoyun explained in the briefing, "but the transition is unstable. Ships that make it through arrive intact. Ships that don't, well, you've seen what happens. The question is why some succeed and some fail. What's different about the ships that make it? Mirai asked. That's what we're trying to figure out. Ship 6 made it from Earth to Jupiter in 3 hours. Ship 7 followed the exact same flight plan and disintegrated. The only difference we can find is minor variations in the fold field generator. Then let me try something, Mirai said. Instead of following a fixed plan, let me adjust the field manually during transition. Feel my way through it, that's insane. You'd be making changes while traveling through folded space. One mistake, I know. But machines can't feel the transition. I can, let me try. Soyeon wanted to say no, wanted to run more tests, build more safeguards, wait until they understood the science better, but humanity didn't have time for perfect. They needed good enough and they needed it now. All right, she said, but you abort at the first sign of trouble. I'm not losing another pilot. Test Ship 8 launched the next day. Mirai strapped into the pilot's seat, hands on manual controls, eyes watching a dozen readouts. The fold drive spun up, reality bent, and space twisted itself inside out. Inside the fold, Mirai felt the ship shaking. Alarm screamed. The hull groaned under impossible stress, but she could feel something else too. A rhythm to the chaos, like riding a wave instead of fighting it. She adjusted the field generator, not following the calculations but following her instincts. The shaking smoothed. The alarms quieted. And then she was through. Test Ship 8 appeared near Jupiter, intact and functional. Flight time 2 hours 50 minutes. A new record. How did you do it? Someone asked when Mirai returned to Earth. I stopped trying to control it and started working with it, Mirai explained. The fold isn't something you force. It's something you guide. Like sailing instead of using an engine. It wasn't the elegant solution Seoyun wanted, but it worked. Within 2 months, she had trained 20 pilots who could feel the fold. Within 6 months, humanity had a small fleet of fold-capable ships. They were slower than Council jump gates, less reliable, sometimes dangerous, but they worked, and they were ours. While Seoyun broke the laws of physics, Merchant Captain Ojisu broke the laws of economics. Before the embargo, Sol System's economy was a backwater, barely worth the Council's attention. Without access to galactic trade, it should have collapsed. Instead, it boomed. Jisoo saw the opportunity before anyone else. Asteroid mining, formerly unprofitable compared to importing from alien worlds, suddenly became the only option. She bought 3 mining ships at scrap prices, hired desperate crews, and went hunting for platinum in the belt. You're crazy, her brother said. Mining doesn't pay. That's why we imported everything. Mining doesn't pay when you're competing with a galaxy full of miners, Jisoo corrected. But we're not competing with anyone now. We're the only game in town. She was right. Within 3 months, her company was the primary supplier of rare metals to Earth's industries. Within 6 months, she had 12 ships. Within a year, she was one of the richest people in the solar system. Other merchants followed her example. Luna's industrial complexes expanded. Mars' terraforming project, once dependent on Council atmospheric processors, pivoted to human-designed alternatives that were cruder but functional. The belt colonies, formerly poor relations of the core worlds, became centers of manufacturing and resources. The Sol economy didn't just survive. It thrived. Because when you can't import what you need, you make it yourself, and humans had always been good at making things. Dr. Nam Junho, meanwhile, was making history. His laboratory on Luna was nothing compared to the Council's quantum research facility, but it had one advantage: no bureaucracy telling him what was impossible. He worked from the data he'd smuggled out. The research the Council said would take centuries to complete. The problem was quantum entanglement communication. In theory, you could link 2 particles and transmit information instantly across any distance. In practice, the Council's best scientists had tried for 5,000 years and failed. It's a measurement problem, Nam explained to his team. Every time you try to read the entangled state, you collapse it. The Council keeps trying to force the particles to carry information. What if we stop trying to force it? I don't understand, his assistant said. Neither do I, completely. But I have an idea. He worked for 8 months on a solution that made no sense theoretically but worked perfectly in practice. Instead of using the entangled particles to carry information directly, he used them to synchronize quantum clocks at both ends. The clocks then modulated a traditional signal in ways that couldn't be jammed or intercepted. It wasn't true instantaneous communication, but it was close enough. The first test connected Earth to the Saturn Research Station. The signal traveled 400 million kilometers with zero lag, no relay stations, and perfect clarity. Technology, the Council said, was impossible, built in a laboratory a fraction of the size of theirs, by a species they dismissed as too young to matter. Nam sent his first message through the new system. "Anyone there?" The response came back instantly. "We're here. We're all here. And we're just getting started." Admiral Kang Hyunwoo saw the writing on the wall. The Council had quarantined humanity, but quarantines only worked if everyone respected them. And history suggested they wouldn't. Young species that threatened the old order had a habit of meeting unfortunate accidents. He began preparing for war. Not the war the Council expected. Human ships couldn't match alien vessels in raw power, not yet, but they didn't need to. They just needed to be too expensive to attack. Kang designed hybrid vessels using salvaged Council technology, human engineering, and sheer creativity. The new destroyers were fast and maneuverable. The cruisers carried weapons that didn't register on alien sensors because they worked on completely different principles. The carriers launched swarms of small fighters that could jump short distances, appearing and disappearing faster than enemy targeting systems could track. "You're building a fleet designed to fight the entire Council," President Kim observed during a review. "I'm building a fleet designed to make them think twice about fighting us," Kang corrected. "If we're strong enough, we won't need to use it. And if we're not, then we fight anyway, because that's what we do." The defense installations around Earth grew. Railguns that could throw projectiles at relativistic speeds, missile platforms that launched hunter-killer drones, shield generators using technology that shouldn't work but did, because human engineers didn't know it was impossible. The year anniversary of the embargo arrived. President Kim gave another address standing in the same spot with Earth behind him. "1 year ago the Council locked us away. They expected us to break, to beg, to fade into obscurity. Instead we adapted. We built full-drive ships that travel without their gates. We established an economy that doesn't need their trade. We developed communication technology they said couldn't exist. We created a defense force that makes us very, very difficult to threaten. Some call us reckless. Some call us dangerous. I call us free. Free to succeed or fail on our own terms. Free to help those who need help, regardless of bureaucratic rules. Free to be who we are. The Council gave us isolation. We've made it our forge. They tried to contain us. They've created something they don't understand and can't control, and now they have to live with the consequences. This is our time. This is our moment, and we're just getting started." Across Sol System, humans watched and cheered. The year had been hard. Shortages, rationing, failed experiments, and lost lives. Dr. Choi Mina was studying rocks when she found the gateway that would change everything. Not exciting rocks either. Just frozen chunks of ice and stone drifting in the darkness beyond the Kuiper Belt, where nothing interesting had any business existing. Except this rock was warm. "Run the scan again," she told her assistant. "Something's wrong with the sensors." They ran the scan 5 more times. Each time the results were the same. The asteroid, officially designated KB2247, was generating heat. Not much, just enough to be impossible. "We need to go look at it," Mina said. "It's 8 billion kilometers from Earth," her assistant protested. "That's a 3-month trip on the full drive. Then we better leave soon." Explorer Captain Bae Minho wasn't excited about flying to the edge of the solar system to look at a warm rock. He had better things to do. The Odyssey was one of humanity's newest exploration vessels, fast and well-equipped. Using it for a geology trip seemed wasteful. Then Dr. Choi showed him the energy readings. "That's not possible," he said. "I know. Asteroids don't generate power. They don't have cores. They don't have internal heat sources." "I know. So what is it? That's why we need to go look." Minho assembled his crew. 3 months out, 3 months back, plus however long it took to investigate. 6 months minimum, possibly longer. The Odyssey launched on a cold morning in March, carrying 12 crew members and enough supplies to sustain them for a year if necessary. They found KB2247 exactly where the chart said it would be, tumbling slowly in the darkness. It looked like every other asteroid Minho had ever seen. Gray, pitted, unremarkable, except the sensors said it was generating enough power to run a small city. "I'm going to land on it," Minho said. "Mina, suit up. Let's see what we've got." They touched down on the asteroid's surface and stepped out into the void. The rock beneath their feet was ordinary enough. But the scanner in Mina's hand went crazy when she pointed it at a specific spot. "There's something inside," she said, deep inside. 20 meters down, they drilled. It took 6 hours to punch through 20 meters of rock and ice. When the drill broke through, every sensor on the Odyssey lit up at once. "We're reading massive energy discharge," the science officer reported. "Whatever's down there just activated." Mina looked into the hole. Light glowed far below, blue and steady. She had spent her entire career studying alien artifacts and civilizations. She knew what ancient technology looked like when she saw it. "Get the excavation equipment," she said quietly. "We just found something older than the Council." It took 3 days to dig out the structure. It was huge, bigger than the Odyssey. Built from materials that didn't match anything in human or Council databases. The design was elegant, mathematical, perfect. And when Dr. Nam's quantum communication device got close to it, the structure responded. Symbols appeared on its surface, glowing and shifting. Not Council standard script, not any known language. But Dr. Nam recognized the mathematical patterns. "It's a coordinate system," he said over the quantum link from Earth. 3-dimensional space plus time. "I think it's showing us locations." "Locations of what?" Mina asked. "Other structures like this one. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. They're scattered across the galaxy." Mina's breath caught. "A network. A very old network. I'm running isotope analysis on the materials. Initial estimates suggest this thing is at least 50 million years old." 50 million years. The Council's oldest member species had only achieved space travel 400,000 years ago. This structure predated them by orders of magnitude. "It predated everything. Can we activate it?" Minyo asked. "Unknown," Nam said. "But the power signature matches the Council's jump gates almost exactly. I think their gates are copies of this technology." "Inferior copies." Mina looked at the structure, at the coordinates glowing on its surface. Humanity had been cut off from the stars, locked away by the Council's decree. But there had always been another network, hidden and forgotten, waiting for someone to find it. "We're going to need authorization for this," she said, "and probably a lot more people." President Kim stared at the images transmitted from the Kuiper Belt, an ancient gateway network. Technology that predated the Council, a way to travel the galaxy without using their jump gates. "How many gates are there?" he asked. "At least 400 that we can identify," Dr. Nam replied. "Possibly more. The network spans the entire galaxy. And President, there's something else. Several of the gates lead to regions the Council has never explored. Unmapped space. Unclaimed worlds." Ambassador Park Ji-won, who had been quietly watching the briefing, finally spoke. They knew. The Council knew about this network. They had to. Their jump gates are too similar. They found these ancient structures and reverse-engineered them. "And they never told anyone," Kim said. "Why would they? Knowledge is power. By controlling the jump gates, they control galactic travel. They control trade, exploration, expansion. Everything flows through them. But if other species knew there was an alternative network, their entire power structure would collapse." Kim leaned back in his chair. "They didn't embargo us to protect the galaxy from humanity. They did it to protect themselves. The question is what we do now," Admiral Kang said. "Do we activate the gateway?" "We'd be violating the embargo," Kim said. "The embargo was based on a lie," Park countered. "They claimed they were protecting the Galactic Order, but they were just protecting their monopoly." "I say we activate it," Kim considered. It was risky. If the gateway didn't work, they'd have wasted time and resources. If it did work, they'd be openly defying the Council. War might follow. Then again, they'd been preparing for war anyway. "Do it," he said. "Activate the gateway. Let's see where it leads." Back at KB 2247, Captain Minho prepared the Odyssey for the first transit through the ancient network. Dr. Nam had sent activation sequences based on the mathematical patterns. They were guessing, really, hoping the gateway would respond to commands sent in the language of pure mathematics. Mina stood on the ship's bridge, watching through the view screen as the structure powered up. Blue light flooded the asteroid. Space itself began to bend, forming a perfect circle of darkness surrounded by lightning. "Gateway is stable," the navigator reported. "I'm reading a destination point. Distance. I can't calculate distance. The readings don't make sense." Because it's not about distance, Mina said. It's about connection. The network links points in space regardless of how far apart they actually are. That's impossible, the navigator said. So is everything else about this structure. Take us through. The Odyssey moved forward into the darkness through the impossible. For a moment that lasted forever and no time at all. They existed nowhere and everywhere. Then they emerged into normal space. The stars were different. The constellations were wrong. The navigation computer couldn't establish their position because they weren't anywhere near known space. Status report, Minho ordered, keeping his voice calm despite the racing of his heart. All systems normal. Ship is intact. I'm reading a star system ahead. G-type star, multiple planets, at least 2 in the habitable zone. Life signs? Scanning. No artificial signals. No cities, no ships. If there's life here, it's not technological. Mina looked at the view screen at the virgin star system spread before them. We just found an empty galaxy. Not empty, Minho corrected. Unclaimed. There's a difference. The implications were staggering. The Council controlled known space through their jump gates. But the ancient network reached places the Council had never been. Worlds they had never claimed. Humanity had just found the back door to the universe. They spent 2 days surveying the system before returning through the gateway. The trip back was as smooth as the trip out. The ancient network worked perfectly as if 50 million years was nothing to its makers. Back in Sol System, President Kim received the full report. His advisors argued for hours about what to do next. Some wanted to keep the discovery secret. Others wanted to negotiate with the Council, trade the information for lifting the embargo. Park Ji-won had a different idea. We don't negotiate, she said. We don't ask permission. We use the network. We explore. We establish colonies in unclaimed space. We build our own civilization, one that doesn't answer to the Council. That's war, someone objected. No, Park said. War is when you attack someone. We're not attacking anything. We're just leaving through a different door. The Council will see it as a threat. Good. Let them. They've had a monopoly on the galaxy for too long. Time for some competition. Kim made his decision. We use the network. Quietly at first, small expeditions, survey missions. But we use it. And if the Council objects, we remind them that they built their entire civilization on technology they stole from the same source. That night, a message arrived through channels so secret that only 3 people in the human government knew they existed. It came from the Tyvek homeworld, from the people humanity had saved 3 years ago. The message was simple. We know what you found. We know what the Council has been hiding. Many species know. Many species are angry. You are not alone. When the time comes, we will stand with you. It was signed by Ambassador Drenville, head of the Tyvek Diplomatic Corps. Park stared at the message for a long time. Humanity had been isolated, cut off, locked away. But isolation was an illusion. 5 years after the embargo, 50 human ships emerged from the ancient gateway network into Council space. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't send warnings. They simply appeared, a fleet of vessels that shouldn't exist using technology the Council had sworn didn't work. Admiral Kang Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's new flagship. Around him, captains from 49 other ships waited for orders. They had been practicing this moment for months. Now it was real. All ships tight formation. Weapons powered but not locked. We're here to talk, not fight, but make sure they know we can do both. The fleet moved as one, heading toward Concordia Prime. The station's sensors had to be screaming by now. 50 unknown vessels appearing from nowhere, approaching the heart of galactic government. President Kim Tae-hyun appeared on every Council member's personal communication device at the exact same moment. The Council couldn't refuse the call because it wasn't a call. It was a broadcast using Dr. Nam's quantum communication technology that the Council insisted was impossible. Members of the Galactic Council, Kim said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. I apologize for the dramatic entrance. But you stopped answering our official channels 5 years ago, so we found new ones. The Veltharis Primarch's face appeared on screen, his ancient features twisted in fury. You dare violate the quarantine? You dare approach Council space with a military fleet? This is an act of war. Is it? Kim asked. We're not attacking anyone. We're just visiting. You see, we found something interesting while you had us locked away. An old network, very old. Millions of years old. Ring any bells? The Primarch's expression went carefully neutral. Around the council chamber, representatives from 7 species suddenly looked very uncomfortable. I don't know what you're talking about, the Primarch said. Really? Because your jump gates use the exact same technology, same energy signature, same spatial geometry, same quantum mathematics, almost like you found the ancient network first, copied it badly, and then kept quiet about where the technology really came from. Ambassador Park Ji-won appeared beside Kim on the broadcast. She looked different than she had 5 years ago, harder, more confident. She had spent those years learning everything humanity could learn about council politics, and she had learned a lot. We've prepared a presentation, she said sweetly, for the full council. I think everyone should see it. Especially the species who weren't told about the precursor civilization, who weren't told there was an alternative to the jump gates you control, who weren't told they've been paying for access to technology that exists freely throughout the galaxy. This session is closed, the Primarch said. You have no authority to— Emergency session called by formal vote. A new voice interrupted. The Tyvek ambassador Drenval appeared on screen. The Tyvek Republic formally requests council review of new evidence regarding precursor technology and allegations of technological monopoly. We're seconding the human request to present, as does the Vrel Confederation, another voice added, and the Cormac Alliance, and the Dralith Union. One by one, 5 species called for the session, 5 species who had been quietly talking with humanity for months, who had been comparing notes, who had realized they'd all been played by the same 3 species who controlled the council. The Primarch looked like he'd aged 1,000 years in a moment. Very well. The council will convene. Ambassador Park, you may present your evidence. The council chamber filled. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to watch. Some were allies of the old powers, loyal to the Veltharis and Chromath. Others were neutral, curious. Still others were angry, already suspecting they'd been deceived. Park began her presentation. She showed survey data from the ancient gateways humanity had discovered. She showed mathematical analysis proving the council's jump gates were inferior copies. She showed historical records, carefully hidden in databases nobody thought to protect, of the council's original discovery of the precursor network 4,000 years ago. For 4 millennia, Park said, the council has controlled galactic civilization by controlling travel. You charge fees for jump gate access. You regulate which species can use which routes. You decide who expands and who doesn't. And all of it is based on a lie. The precursor network is free. It's everywhere. And you've been keeping it secret. The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted at each other.
The Primarch called for order.
Nobody listened. Engineer Han Seo-yoon appeared on the broadcast next. We've surveyed 412 precursor gateways. We've mapped routes to 300 unclaimed systems. Rich worlds, habitable planets, resources that would transform any economy. And none of them are in council space. The old network reaches places you've never been. Places you've never claimed. Places that don't belong to anyone. Those regions are unexplored for good reason, the Chromath representative said. Their water form shimmered with agitation. They're dangerous, unstable, full of hazards we don't understand. Funny, Seo-yoon said. We've sent ships through 30 different gateways. We've surveyed a dozen systems. We've even established 2 small colonies. Haven't encountered any hazards yet. Just empty space waiting to be filled. The Primarch finally managed to restore order. Even if what you say is true, it changes nothing. The embargo stands. You violated quarantine. You will return to Sol system immediately or face consequences. No, President Kim said simply. We won't. Then you choose war, we choose freedom. There's a difference, Kim leaned forward. You can try to enforce the embargo. You can send your fleets to Sol system. You can attempt to destroy us. But here's what happens if you do. First, every ship you send gets destroyed. We've had 5 years to prepare. 5 years to build weapons you've never seen. 5 years to develop tactics you can't counter. You'll win eventually, because you have more ships, but it will cost you. Second, we release everything. Every gateway coordinate, every piece of precursor technology we've found, every hidden record we've discovered. We give it to everyone, free, no charge, no restrictions. We make sure every species in the galaxy knows what you've been hiding. Third, the species who've been talking to us, the ones who are tired of your control, They'll use the information. They'll use the gateways. Your monopoly ends whether you like it or not. The Primarch was silent for a long moment. Kim watched him calculate, weighing options, trying to find a way to maintain control. But the truth was already out. The galaxy knew now. You couldn't put that back in the box. Or, Kim continued, you can lift the embargo, recognize humanity as a full council member, give us voting rights, diplomatic status, all the standard privileges. In exchange, we work with you to manage the transition. We help other species access the precursor network safely. We prevent the chaos that would come from suddenly opening everything at once. You're blackmailing us, the Primarch said. I'm negotiating, Kim corrected. You tried to lock us away. We found another door. Now we're offering to cooperate instead of competing. Your choice. The Tyvek ambassador stood. I move to vote on humanity's council membership. Full status with voting rights, my second, the Vrel representative said. And I, said the Cormac. The vote was called. The chamber went silent as representatives made their choices. Green lights for yes, red lights for no. Yellow for abstaining. The count came up. 5 yes, 1 no, 1 abstention. The Veltharis Primarch voted no, alone in his opposition. The Chromath, ever practical, voted yes. They understood economics. They understood that humanity was offering partnership instead of war, and that was a better deal than they deserved. The motion passes, the council secretary announced. Humanity is granted full council membership effective immediately. Park allowed herself a small smile. Thank you. Now about those coordinates we mentioned. We're prepared to share them with all council members. But first we need to discuss terms for managing the transition. I suggest we form a working group. Equal representation from all interested species. Humanity is willing to chair it since we have the most experience with the network so far. The Primarch looked like he'd swallowed poison. The old power structure was crumbling in real time, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The other species were already talking among themselves, planning expeditions, forming partnerships. Dr. Choi Mina watched from the Odyssey, now permanently stationed at the ancient gateway in Sol system. The victory felt good, but she knew it was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to change in ways nobody could predict. Humans had kicked over the anthill. Now they'd have to help rebuild it. Admiral Kang received orders to establish a permanent human presence at Concordia Prime. Not just an embassy, a full station built to human specifications, armed and defended. A statement that humanity wasn't asking for a place at the table anymore. They were taking it. Construction began immediately. The station would be magnificent, built from resources mined in Sol system, using full-drive ships to transport materials. It would be a monument to survival, a reminder that you couldn't keep humanity down. 6 months after the vote, the first non-human ship used a precursor gateway with human help. The Tyvek had asked for assistance accessing a route to unclaimed space. Dr. Nam personally guided them through the activation sequence. The gateway opened,